So the Atlanta public schools cheating scandal recently quasi-wrapped up. Who knows? 11 out of 12 people were recently convicted. I think about 28 people took plea deals. Originally, there were around 180 teachers and principals who were involved in this, and somehow we end up with 11 people going to jail for a long time. I don't know what's happening to all the, 140 or so that didn't take the plea deal or go to jail. But it appears to me, at least from my Caucasian-skinned eyes, that the black community in Atlanta gets upset when they ever see black people going to jail. So I think I've heard a lot of black people recently making excuses for the type of
upset all the time.
Cheating.
Thank you.
Sorry, what was that, Scott Brown?
You said black people get upset because black people going to jail. We get upset because black people go to jail all the time for longer.
Why aren't they used to it by now?
Exactly. That's it, exactly. But this is the thing.
It's the question your ancestors would ask.
This is the thing. I am not a supporter of Beverly Hall or any of these teachers. I think that what they did was despicable and that they should be justly punished. And then the key word there is justly.
So where's the injustice?
In a 25-year sentence.
Do you really think they're going to be in there for 25 years?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't
matter.
make any sense.
You can rape a child.
So
you can rape a child and go to jail for less time. You can go to
That's good.
I mean, it makes no point.
Here's the thing.
So what did that person do to get 25 years? That is quite absurd. 25 years. 25 years? What did they do?
Okay. First and foremost, there's a government mandate known as No Child Left Behind. Everybody wants to talk about the cheating. Everybody wants to talk about this big-ass oak tree, but doesn't want to acknowledge the acorn that was planted in the ground.
But the acorn is good. That's the thing. No Child Left Behind was a good thing.
Just to jump
it wasn't.
Just to jump in on this. If you talk about school cheating and these things like the Atlanta public schools, it's the same problem that you saw with steroids in baseball, where everybody became addicted to doing it, and it became because the media and the pressure was from above to perform. It's the same thing with schools. We get all this pressure from the governments and from parents and from the media that we expect this percentage of passing rate and we want this gold
But what's
star
wrong with
status
the pressure to perform?
Because the pressure is leading to illicit behavior.
Okay, and let me say this. Okay, yes, these teachers are wrong. Yes, Beverly Hill was wrong. But Beverly Hall was wrong. But
Beverly Hills.
Yeah, Beverly Hills. But the actions were wrong. But as you look at the scale of the damage that was done, it does not warrant a 25-year sentence. Even if that's going to be
It's not like the kids would have been geniuses.
and that's the thing. You got to, okay, they want to talk about they failed these children in education. First and foremost, if you take the best teacher from Fayette County, Gwinnett County, any high-performing district and send them into these schools, they're not going to improve the damn test scores. Right. But
is that because the parents are so horrible at being parents?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It's because of the parents. If these teachers deserve 25 years, the parents deserve life.
Yeah, a lack of engagement.
And that's the simple. That's the problem.
But the teachers aren't being put in jail for poor performance. They're being put in jail for lying, for corruption, for cheating on the test.
As they should be.
Talk about how
they should be.
No, they absolutely should not.
Here's how the school system is structured for both students and for the administrators and the teachers. It's a reward and punishment system. When they were cheating and they were manipulating these results, they were getting quote-unquote rewards until it was discovered, of course, because they were being rewarded probably with bonuses, probably with a public accreditation and merits and remarks from public officials and blah, 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 blah. But at the same time, if they had done poorly, if the kids had done worse on the test, they would have been punished. They might have had their funding cut. They might have had their salary
people are trying to
cut.
say they did it for the money. They did not do it for the money. They did it so they could keep their jobs.
Exactly.
They did it because their boss said, "I need you to do it." I mean, if you it doesn't matter if I've worked lots of places. And my boss had asked me to do things that I knew were against company policy. But guess what?
I've had bosses have me do it. I've worked a lot with bosses before.
Yeah. And I'm saying, not a lot necessarily, but definitely company.
Necessarily. Yeah.
But definitely company policy. And if I was not to do that, there would have been other unforeseen consequences.
That's right.
And
the thing is, people are mainly worried about the authority figure that's nearest to them with the most threat to them. They probably didn't perceive going to jail for 25 years.
I agree. 25 years is kind of egregious. That's not the argument.
Then that's my point.
Then that's
the point. Now we have nothing else to argue about because like I said, what they did was wrong. They deserve to go to jail. 5 years would have sent a strong message.
You guys thought I supported someone going to jail for 25 years?
There are people.
Why was that assumption made? I never said that I supported that.
There are a lot of people who feel like that's not enough.
Like who?
I'm not saying their name.
Names.
But I'm not saying their name.
But they black, and they want their brothers in jail, and it's wrong.
I mean, I'm not saying it black or white. Black or white, I mean, crime should fit punishment. We got Elaine Boyer in DeKalb County steals $100,000. She's gonna do like what? Like 18 months?
Yeah.
18 months she's gonna do. And
Nathan
she's gonna
Deal corrupt as hell.
Yeah. And it's such a hypocrisy. And then what's gonna happen with this opportunity school district bill that passed? Governor Gill's gonna take over these schools. He's gonna be
he's gonna put his cronies in charge then.
Yeah, and
the North Georgia white boys are coming down.
and it's really sad because it's the whole point is to send this message. And this is something that's happened all across the country. There are people right now who are on school boards, administrators, teachers of the year who did not get caught.
That's right.
That's right. And all over America, you know. And you look at all these underperforming school districts and where they have come since, you know, the cheating scandal. Yeah, if everybody was telling me Clayton County, they're on the verge of losing their accreditation. You think nobody in Clayton County did anything unethical to ensure that they...
Greed pays. Greed pays. That's all I'm telling you.
I'm saying,
that's how it's always been.
And
the financial
yes, I'm going to say that if these had been not people who were not African American,
good little suburban white parents,
definitely.
Were none of the teachers white?
No. All African American. Really? None of them had any prior convictions.
There's been psychological studies.
Scott. I think Scott was actually I think Bridgemont was actually gonna say something that implicitly criticized the black community, and I was gonna be very happy to hear it. Go ahead, Bridgemont.
Oh, okay. What was that? Just tell me what I was going to say.
I think what Bridgemont was going...
What the hell?
I think...
We're going to get in so much trouble.
Please tell me what I was going to say.
I think what Bridgemont was going to say is, if they hadn't been black, you wouldn't see all these black people upset.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying
they
that.
They wouldn't have put that jail
You're right. You wouldn't see all these black people upset. But you'd see a lot of white people upset. And when white people get upset... things happen.
I think
so you know, it would have never happened. You never would have saw this happen in Fayette County or Coweta County. You know, they would have at the most they would have lost their job. There was no prosecution.
I agree. I think that you see that too. I think it's very prevalent in the white community to try to. When a lot of times to come down harder on minorities trying to be successful through illicit means than it does on the white community. A lot of times it's rule breaking is somewhat considered to be somewhat a trick of the trade versus for minorities that are often associated with crime and things like that and not having strong morals. When they're associated with illicit behavior, all of a sudden it becomes something bad that has to be punished and stamped out.
I mean, I've heard of psychological studies where where basically people, even black people, will show basically less problem with harsher punishments for black people. Basically think that they can handle more punishment and deserve more punishment for the same crime.
Exactly. I mean, it's a psychological condition of some African American people that they have. I call them Negropeans.
I mean, it's probably cultural.
What is Bridgemont called this?
I call these people Negropeans.
Negro.
I mean,
these are African people of African descent who want to be Caucasian so bad that they will.
I'm even talking on the subconscious level.
God.
I'm even talking on a subconscious level. So, I mean, I think we have to, admit some of these things where racism has sort of subconscious roots, in our psychology, the way our minds evolved, I
mean, subconsciously, that's how Negropeans are bred.
Yes, and we have to be honest about how that affects our judicial system. I mean, we're not.
Everybody's got bias.
No one ever wants to talk about that.
I would like to point out that I do slightly agree with Bridgemont and Steen when they say that, if this happened in Fayette County, you would not see this happen. You know what, you might be right, but you know what, you might be wrong. And I sure as hell hope if, white people in the suburbs were doing the same kind of thing, that they would get the same kind of sentencing and same kind of convictions on the same laws. I think.
Do you think they would though? Do you think they would?
Yeah, that's
really?
I do, because I think white people have ethics and.
Oh God.
Here's an example.
Brian
I'm leaving.
Baston, everyone. Brian Baston.
I'm leaving. I'm out of here.
The Negro Pig's dream.
We're done. We're done.
Here's an example of the egregiousness of the sentencing with the teachers. In I believe it was Massachusetts. I just remember this now, but there was a former school, basically principal or administrator,
And they were burning witches.
No, he was
Wrong
some
story.
way involved in the drug trade, and he got some of his students to be his dealers, basically for the drugs. And somehow there was some scenario that went down about the kid not getting paid or something, and he basically threatened to murder him, and left us threatening voicemail and all this kind of thing. And the guy got arrested, of course, and he's now facing charges. But even his maximum sentence for not only dealing drugs with students at the school as a member of the school authority, but also threatening and attempting murder along with stalking and so forth, was basically I think 15 years for that.
And then
we live in a school
and you talk
as
about
an administrator.
No, let me just say this before we go.
Yes.
In Pennsylvania Judge John Chivarella, something I forgot his name,
Yeah.
John or Joe.
He sold kids into slavery.
He sold kids into slavery by white kids too. He would have kids who would get into disciplinary actions at school. They might get in a fight, or they might get into it with a teacher, cuss out a teacher, and all of a sudden they find themselves in a juvenile court. And because they're in this juvenile court system at 14 years old, they're on this probation period. So anything that ever happens in school, they miss a class, they skip school, they go back to probation, and they might end up doing a month in the youth detention center. And this guy, Judge Chivarella, was getting paid for every conviction that he got into the youth detention. This guy, he got 20 years. So you telling me this guy who sent hundreds of kids into a for-profit prison deserves less time than somebody who
scores.
Yeah, it's crazy. It doesn't make any sense. And like I said, what they did was totally wrong. If it was my child, I'd be upset, but I would not want anybody to go to jail for 25 years for this.
Brian, you have something to say.
I do. Thank you, Scott. And I would like to agree with Bridgemont completely that I think this sentence was absurd, the 25 years. But really, the root of the problem that we haven't touched on yet, the root is sentencing guidelines, mandatory sentencing guidelines. Judges need to have the discretion and the freedom to say, you know what, this crime really isn't that big of a deal.
Georgia's been a leader on that. To their credit, even with the Republican legislature and governor, they've actually been a leader on trying to
Governor Deal has stuck his neck out for that.
The judge wanted this sentence. He could have gave them less time. There's no mandatory minimum on a cheater. This is a precedent here.
Was the judge black?
Why?
No, he was not.
Oh.
Why did the judge give 25 years? Then I'm upset as a white person. One of my kin is letting me down.
Because he wants to send a strong message out there. Because you know what happened? Really, you know why these people got sentenced to 25 years? Because Beverly Hall is dead and she can't be sentenced, and they're mad because they really wanted her.
Isn't she the one that pretty much pressured all of them into it?
Yeah, and they wanted her to come to court on her deathbed. They were like, no way, she's not going to stand.
Didn't she die a week before?
She died a week before sentencing, and they're pissed off about it. So somebody's got to feel the wrath. And here we go.
I do want to throw this out there that I did overhear some African Americans saying that Beverly Hall was, she did a lot of great things, and it's such a shame.
But you know what?
Her legacy is getting tarnished.
ISIS does some great things too.
But you look at Beverly. Okay, if you take away this Atlanta cheating scandal, Beverly Hall is one of the premier civil rights leaders in the city of Atlanta. Up there with Zenora Clayton.
But would you say that about a football coach who cheated to win half his games?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what really has Beverly Hall done. I don't know anything about her resume or what she's actually done. Yeah, Goldman Sachs is one of the best banks in the world, but what is it actually?
First and foremost, she was one of
the Goldman Sachs of educators.
She did a lot for the impoverished community, as far as she was
giving her money away to charity. What did she do?
She was heavily involved with Jose Williams Feed the Hungry. She was on the board of the NAACP.
I don't know about being on the board if that's really anything.
I mean, but she was actively involved in the community. And aside from this, aside from this scandal, it's, it's sad to say. I'm not giving her any excuses. What she did was horrible, but I'm saying, the life that Beverly Hall lived prior to this scandal was a good life.
I'm just saying, George Bush was active in his community too.
Very active in the community.